Welcome to my workshop, my friend. And yes, it's an unusual setup, but I really wanted to show you something really cool. So, I was dismounting a cassette deck from 1998, manufactured by Luxman. As you can see right there was the buttons here, the knobs, and everything you have on a cassette deck. It's the K-111, if you want to know. And I was dismounting it because, as you can see right there, I have a cassette reader, a cassette recorder. I have another radio post right there which has some cassette readers on it. Pretty cool, yeah? And I have a lot of things to read cassettes, so I didn't need that. And I dismounted it to see if there was anything funky in there or something funny. And I found some pretty things. So first, let me show you a PCB from like 10 years ago. You can see empty space there, and tiny traces. The same goes for the other side, and maybe half of the components are soldered on the surface. So you can see all the traces going out and going everywhere. I'm gonna take a PCB from 10 years before. This one was manufactured in 1979. Okay, it's a memory card from really old PCs. And as you can see on there, by the shining, those are tiny traces everywhere, and it's pretty much empty everywhere. And yes, there is no soldering mask, so don't ask. And there we can see all the traces. Okay? Now I'm gonna show you the motherboard for this time, the real motherboard from the cassette deck. Boom. There's no empty space except from here and on the screws, around the screw holes. But except that, there's holes and there's all the space is occupied by copper. And if we can look closer, we can see some awkward things, like where here we can see a big square, but where does it goes? To such a tiny trace. Or in the middle right there, it's a huge space. It's useless. Like you have one thing and look at the trace right there. It's tiny. And it's the same on all the boards from this cassette deck. Like that one. The patterns are really cool, but for what? And I was making a hypothesis. Like, look at this one. It's worse. If you want to know what's on this board before I desoldered everything, there was tiny buttons like these ones. There was like 6, as you can see, 6. They were put like that, all aligned. We could even see the tiny schematic. And why so much space just for buttons? Why? Look at the size of the joints right there. This was a ribbon. The ribbon was connected here, but the traces are really small, and then boom, it becomes really big. That's really interesting. And while I was desoldering everything, I was figuring out that maybe there was a cut limit, because to leave such a space here with all covered in copper, like here with the 6 holes right there, and such a tiny trace which leads to nothing, why is there so big spaces that are useless? Or why just right there? It's huge. And I figured out maybe there was a cutting limit, and it costs more to cut off the excess material than to leave it. So they left the copper on this. And this left really cool patterns on all those boards. Because we can see on this board from 1979, there was traces and a lot of empty space. But on that one, nothing. It's all over the thing. You can't even see the substrate except from there and from the sides. And I found this really cool. Let me know what you think about it and if you have other hypotheses. For me, that's the most obvious one. They needed to cut costs on the manufacturing process, so they did what's cheaper, which was to leave the material even if it's useless. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. Don't forget to leave a like and comment if you want.